Thank you so much for joining in. It is 4:48 in the evening, and today is the 17th of August. And we need to understand what the cartels are now more emphasized on. That on the Mexico side, we knew that this was one of the biggest, trafficking schemes, possibly on a much higher, profitable, immediate, profitable way to make money. And they're making billions of dollars of this. And now the U.S. government it is actually exposing the reality of what is happening. Now, I'm going to go step by step for everybody to understand. The former president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, has a son. His name is Andy Lopez. His visa was just revoked and canceled. And why it was revoked and canceled? Because of the accusations of trafficking of gasoline that is huachicol fiscal. It is better known in Mexico like that. And there are a lot of people and a lot of politicians involved in huachicol fiscal instead of being involved in drugs. And it is incredible the money that they were making. Now there's a lot of trafficking also from the United States into Mexico of gasoline and diesel fuels. This is one of the articles that it was written. Let me just put it on screen. It says U.S. target cartel cross-border field smuggling operations. Investigators trace billions in suspicious U.S.-Mexico financial activity tied to illicit fuel trade. And it has to do also with the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, that it is one of the organizations that has been hit, consistently by the U.S. government and also by the pressure of the U.S. government into the Mexican government. I will read a little bit of the article. It says the U.S. Department of Treasury sanctioned 2 Mexican nationals and 9 companies on Tuesday, this is past Tuesday, accused of helping the Jalisco New Generation CJNG run a multi-million-dollar cross-border field smuggling operation. The actions by the Treasury Department Office of Foreign Assets, OFAC, and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FINCEN, target what officials describe as an increasingly important source of cartel revenue beyond narcotics and trafficking. So this is one of the things that the United States of America, due to also not only Marco Rubio and all the people that they're putting a lot of attention to what is going on and what is happening in the trafficking of gasoline and all of this, that is actually, one of the most important things that it needs to be put attention. Now, the former president of the son of the former president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, gave statements and saying, I don't need your visa, your country's on a decline. He wrote a letter to Donald Trump saying that, I will read that letter in a few moments to you guys, saying that his country is on a decline, that, he doesn't need the United States of America because it's full with racism, division, and it is on a decline. Talking about a decline, and look what Mexico, our country, it is going through right now. He lives in another atmosphere. He lives in another world. These kind of politicians, they just live in another level of life that the Mexican people do not have. There's a lot of speculation of how a lot of these politicians are tied to narco politicians and how these narco politicians, they're involved with the organized crime and the cartel. So I will read to you guys something that I believe that is extremely important. And I believe that you guys need to understand how aggressive this trafficking of gasoline, how it is growing massively and how much they're making. Just for everybody to understand how aggressive this crime is and why the important people are getting exposed, and people that they are really involved. I'm just saying really involved in this. They're getting exposed. Politicians in Mexico and, even officials from the Navy. That is more critical and more aggravating. So it says the illegal fuel trade involved in Mexico, known as huachicol fiscal, is probably generating several billions of dollars annually. Estimated money involved, Mexico's fiscal prosecutor estimated losses of approximately 600 billion pesos from huachicol fiscal, depending on the period, that it equals to 32 to 34 billion dollars in loss to public revenue. This is government, estimate, not proven cartel profit. A Mexican congressional document placed in 2024 lost approximately 177 billion pesos and about $9 to $10 billion, principally from gasoline and diesel entering Mexico without payment. The U.S. Treasury says that one cartel, CJNG, it is linked criminal network, generated hundreds of millions of dollars annually through fuel theft, crude oil smuggling, drug trafficking, and related crimes. Treasury calls fuel crime the cartel's most important revenue source of narcotics. In what a specific maritime case attributed to the Farias Laguna network, investigators identified 69 shipments. Look at this. More than 564 million liters and at least US 150 million in alleged benefits. Incredible. The amount of money that they're making out of trafficking of gasoline and diesel fuels. And we said so many times, and we said it again, if the border is shut down, they are going to create inner wars. This is going to come to what they can do best and what they can profit off. So they are not trafficking only humans. They're not trafficking only children. They're not trafficking people through open border gaps. Now let's look for other outlets. This is a big outlet that has been in the works for years, but a lot of people did not put attention to it because they were connected in the smoke screen that it was, basically created to put the focus more on people than to focus on this. Meanwhile, they were getting power like you don't even imagine. The principal routes, just for everybody to understand how aggravating and how much money they're making. United States, Mexico, diesel, gasoline, naphtha purchase in Texas, Louisiana, or elsewhere are shipped by tanker train or truck and falsely declared as lubricants, additives, waste oil, or petrochemicals, avoiding IEPS and import taxes. Unbelievable. Gulf Maritime Corridor from the sea. From Houston, Texas to Altamira, then to Tampico, Tamaulipas. The challenge Procyon case involved nearly 63,000 barrels of diesel alleged declared as a tax-exempt petroleum product. Look at that. Pacific Overseas Corridor. Canada to the United States, to Ensenada, Baja California, just an hour away from where we are located, to Guaymas, Sonora. Routers tracked approximately 120,000 barrels aboard the Tom Agnes Mexican Customs Declaration, allegedly identify the diesel as lubricants. Mexico to the United States. Crude stolen from Pemex, Petroleum Mexicano, especially from Hidalgo, northeastern Mexico, is moved through Tamaulipas, going up north, border crossings into Texas, commonly mislabeled as waste oil or hazardous material. Domestic Mexican routes, illegal pipeline taps, refinery taps, theft, hijacked tanker trucks, and corrupt Pemex distribution networks feed the clandestine storage sites and service stations. The South Border Corridor. Smaller networks report move fuel from Guatemala, border with Chiapas, to Tabasco, and the rest of South Mexico by tanker truck using false invoices and customs declarations. Everybody's paid off. Now, people who have been officially charged and detained and sanctioned, these names have substantially stronger official documentation than general politicians' accusations, the general political accusations. Vice Admiral Manuel Roberto Farias Laguna, Vice Admiral, detained and prosecuted in connection with the Tampico maritime fuel smuggling structure. Rear Admiral Fernando Farias Laguna, his brother, accused by Mexican prosecutors of organized crime involving hydrocarbons, subsequently arrested in Argentina. Cesar Morfin, the little cousin, El Primito, sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury as the CJNG leader involved in acquiring stolen crude, controlling Tamaulipas-Texas crossing, and falsifying customs documents. Álvaro Noé Morfin and Remigio Morfin, both of them brothers, sanctioned for participation in stolen crude activity. Remigio allegedly supplied crude from Hidalgo. It's all connected. Iván Casarín Molina El Tanque, better known as the Tank, previously sanctioned by the Treasury as a senior CJNG figure associate with fuel theft. Maxwell Sterling Jensen and James Leal Jensen, federally indicted in the United States, prosecutors allege their company, Arroyo Terminals, participated in approximately 2,881 crude oil shipments and helped conceal proceeds benefiting the CJNG cartel. An indictment is an accusation, not a conviction, as U.S. the Justice Department. Companies and the middle guy identified in sanctions or investigations include SLA Servicios, Logísticos Ambientales, Grupo Jala Logística, Mefra Fletes, Instanza, and Azteca con Icon Midstream. It's under investigation, but it has repeatedly denied knowingly supporting the CJNG network. This is massive. It's not just a simple situation. Now, it is growing. Why? Because they just removed the visa of Andres Andy Lopez Beltran, that is the son of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, the former president, which there are an amount of accusations to the former president of Mexico. Clearly and openly, you know, a lot of people have said that he's involved with the organized crime and the cartel. Now, this is important. Politicians in allegations that they are accused to have direct connections to this. Adán Augusto López Hernández. Journalists and opposition politicians have alleged indirect connections through businessman Saúl Vera Ochoa, Tampico's Doc 289, and through his former Tabasco Security Secretary, Hernán Bermúdez Requena. López Hernández has denied wrongdoing. I have not found a publicly confirmed criminal charge against specifically for fuel trafficking. Andrés Andy López Beltrán, the son of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who just recently, his visa was canceled. Social media accounts and political adversaries have connected him to Huachicol Fiscal, trafficking of gasoline. But Mexico's president said authorities have not known investigation against him. His reported U.S. visa revocation does not by itself prove fuel trafficking at all. And the Admiral Jose Rafael Ojeda Duran, accused of illegal trafficking of also gasoline. It's unbelievable. All these dirty politicians, more than 50 plus dirty politicians, have been basically accused of this trafficking of gasoline. More capos now are being shown. Now, let's see what President Sheinbaum said about this accusation of the cancellation of the visa of Andy Lopez Beltran. I will put this video on for you guys to see, and I will make the translation.
Mi opinión es que esta cancelación de visas que han hecho. Ellos le llaman a personas políticamente expuestas.
And she's mocking like what the United States Department of Treasury, it is basically classifying these people that their visas have been canceled. And she says, my opinion of this cancellation of visas that they are calling it politically incorrect or politically involved. Then she goes and says,
tiene un sentido político.
It has something to do with politics.
Esencialmente.
Essentially.
Porque no es parejo a todos los países.
Because it is not fair with other countries. Let me get this straight. So if my God, this woman, man, this woman. So you're the neighbor of the United States of America. Let me just get this straight. So it's not fair because they're exposing your country, but if they were exposing, let's just say, hypothetical example, Spain, it would be fair. If they were exposing Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, I don't know, whoever it is, it would be fair to you to just call it like it is. Like, it's, oh, yeah, now we have, what would you say? What will be your next justification for what just happened that is completely aggravating?
Si su sentido fuera relacionado con delincuencia.
You know, she says that it's not fair. And it would have been different if they would focus on all of these other countries that are also involved with illegal trafficking of gasoline, that she's basically acknowledging that other countries are linked to Mexico also possibly. As you said, that is not fair because nobody else is being investigated for being an organized crime group.
O con alguna prueba de algún tema relacionado con la entrada de un ciudadano a Estados Unidos.
Or with another topic of, you know, basically evidence of these illicit, illegal acts. The Mexican president goes a lot consistently with justifications of saying, you know what, there's no evidence. You know, bring me the evidence. She's always going to justify every crime. If they assassinate somebody, you know, outside of the governmental palace, she will say, you know what, that was not, and they accuse somebody of the politicians of Morena, she will say, you know what, bring me the evidence. That's not enough. You know, it's always looking for 70 million justifications to justify what is actually happening in her country. And it is ridiculous. It is stupid, really. So let's go and see what she says more about the son of Andrés Manuel López Obrador's visa being revoked.
Esa es mi opinión.
And that's my opinion.
Podemos hacer una revisión de qué ocurre en otros países de América Latina.
We can go and do an inspection and do an analysis of what is going on in other countries in Latin America.
¿Qué ocurre en nuestro país?
And what is going on in our country.
Y esto es un sentido de injerencia.
And this has to do with, you know, basically the United States trying to intervene. The justification that they have been using since she has been exposed, since this dirty politicians have been exposed, since her dirty political party has been exposed, it is that the United States wants to intervene in Mexico to extract resources, to extract minerals, and to invade our country, but not to expose these dirty politicians. No. Her justification is always protecting the sovereignty of Mexico, and that is the number one option. And all that you guys are speaking against me, they're betrayers, you are sellouts to our country, you're vendepatria, so you're a coconut. That's basically what it is.
En la política mexicana.
So she's saying that by doing this, they want to interfere with the Mexican, politics.
Esa es mi opinión.
That is my opinion.
Porque no veo yo otra razón.
I don't see no other reason why they're doing this.
¿Y lo usa quién? Pues la derecha mexicana.
And who's taking advantage of this? The right wing in Mexico.
Que cada vez es más entreguista. a los Estados Unidos.
that every time the right wing is delivering themselves to the United States of America. This is the thing. Every time that we are against any situation or circumstance against the corruption that is going on, we are sellouts to the Yankees, or we are a coconut. And these people who call us these names, they don't even live in Mexico. They live in the United States. But what we talk about over here, the enormous corruption that is happening right now, it is justified consistently that the Yankee and the gringo and the American wants to come and invade and take over the sovereignty of Mexico. She continuously uses the word injerencia, that is interbeing, entering, forcing the entrance to take over, several sections of Mexico. And let me just, add this to her daily vocabulary that she uses. Now she's making 70 million justifications for the accusation to the son of Andrés Manuel López Obrador. It really hurt them, people. Ladies and gentlemen, it really hurt them right now. They're hurting because they never thought that could be an issue. They never thought that could be something that it can actually happen, something that it would happen, something that it can actually be a motive, or something that it could be some kind of a source of situation that it can be relevant for information that it will be not classified, exposed for the whole world to see. And she doesn't like it at all.
México tiene una larga historia de defensa de la soberanía.
Here we go. This is where I'm getting exhausted. Mexico has a long history of the sovereignty, of defense of the sovereignty. It's always this. Let me just put it on again.
Larga.
Very long history.
Desde la independencia.
Since the independence.
Y no es solo por ser Estados Unidos, es con cualquier país del mundo.
And not because it is the United States of America. It's with every country of the world.
México es un país libre, independiente y soberano.
Mexico, it is an independent, sovereign, free country.
Y esta búsqueda de interferir
And this search of interfering
políticamente en México,
politically in Mexico,
o de usar a México también para su propia elección,
or to use Mexico for their own election,
nosotros siempre hemos dicho no, como lo dijo Carranza en su momento.
We have always said no, and like Carranza used to say in his moment, former president,
como lo dijo Juárez en su momento.
Like Benito Juárez used to say, that is the worst example. He was the most racist to the indigenous people, but okay.
Como lo dijeron generaciones y generaciones de
Like generations of Mexicans that they have always said.
Mexicanas y de mexicanos que han dicho México es independiente.
All these generations and all these people that I just mentioned, they have said Mexico is an independent country.
Y guardamos una relación de coordinación, pero no de subordinación.
We have a great relationship of coordination, but not of subordination.
Entonces, ¿qué hay que hacer cuando viene una cuestión de una visa?
So what were we going to do when the situation of a visa comes up?
Pues hay que ser valientes.
Let's just have courage.
No hay que, porque no hay otra cosa.
Let's just not stay quiet because there's no other thing going on.
Obvio que el gobierno de Estados Unidos presenta una prueba contundente contra cualquier ciudadano mexicano, cualquiera que sea su profesión, es más, en política, cualquiera que sea su partido político, pues que presente pruebas y que...
Like always, let's just pause it right there. It's like If they really want to come after these politicians, if they really want to do something about it, just present the proof. Present the proof, and that's about it. Yes, we are a sovereign nation. Yes, we are independent, and we are a beautiful country. Without a doubt, Ms. President, yes, we are. We are one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and we had the possibility, and we have the possibility to be a first-class world country, to have a rising economy and a blessed economy, but we don't because of dirty politicians and also the cartel controlling the majority of our country. But talking about sovereignty, first and foremost, that you're the one that is more violating our sovereignty with the cartel operating massively in our country. You continuously mix this situation with what they are exposing. So if this was the case and Andy Lopez, his visa was removed, I will allow investigations to continue and for them to have the proof. Now, the left in Mexico always says, oh, it's the CIA, it's the FBI, it's all of this. That's a great justification, because if it was the CIA and it was the FBI, well, I will agree, and I will, like the president of Mexico saying about courage, I think that she would have the courage to expose these agents that they're infiltrated and they're disinforming in our country. It will be simple as that. If the United States has the audacity and has the balls to say, you know what, I'm going to expose this people, and I will expose these dirty politicians. And not only that, I will cancel their visa, and I will revoke the visa of these dirty politicians, because I think that they have links and they are tied to the organized crime and the cartel. Why, in your case, if you have a problem with this, and if you think that it is the CIA, the FBI, Israel, like all these lefties, where's your evidence to prove it? Where is the evidence of this? Where's the enormous evidence of that this consistently exists and that this is happening in your country? You have the power. You're talking about courage. It's a huge word. Huge word. Talk about huevos. So if you're talking about this courage thing, I will suggest that you, being the president of our country, will have the courage to inform the consistent situation of justifications and the conglomerate of justifications that you continuously say on this microphone. That is the infiltration of the CIA, the FBI, the enormous corruption that exists from the United States infiltrating and information in Mexico. Why that is not exposed in the morning conference? If there is an enormous problem, that is a reality, we're not going to lie about it, of trafficking of illicit guns massively to the cartel from Texas, from Arizona into Mexico, why are you not protecting your customs agents and your custom borders so they can detect? I will reinforce the border, first and foremost. If that is a problem for me, I will say to the United States of America, first and foremost, Mr. Rubio, we know that we have a bilateral problem of trafficking of guns, and you are the number one consumer of drugs. So I will do my job, and you will do your part. I will lower down these cartels. I will designate them as terrorists. You're not going to interfere. I will deal with this problem, but I need your support. And we will grow together, and we will destroy these organizations together. But second of all, I'm going to secure my border. Like you're securing yours, I'm going to do mine. And every time that one American, U.S. citizen, I don't care if he's brown, black, white, Asian, Hindu, whatever it is, if it has an American passport, I will expose it the way that you're exposing every single person that is crossing illegally, or every single individual that is being arrested illegally in your country of the United States of America. And I will say, this is the problem that is happening from the U.S. to Mexico. And I will demonstrate to you that you are an incredible problem, and an incredible problem that has been affecting the criminal organizations. Why it's not being covered? Why that it's not being done? Why continuously we look for justifications that is the past governments? It was Peña Nieto, it was Calderón, it was Fox. This is you. This is your government. We're talking about you let a word out there that is a really valuable word when it comes to military men, when it comes to army men, when it comes to marine men, when it comes to police officers, when it comes to National Guardsmen. You let a word out there that is called courage. Why don't we reinforce the north border of Mexico with the United States? That is their south border. Do you think that the United States of America will appreciate that? And you will expose all these dirty politicians that they're possibly involved in the United States of America with the trafficking of humans and also the trafficking of gasoline. Don't you think that that will be a win-win deal? That'll be a great opportunity for you to have the ball in your court. But why continuously we're looking for all these justifications now? The visa that is being revoked by Andres Manuel and Andy Lopez, Andy Lopez Beltran, the son of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. It's, we knew that this was happening in our country. It's a lot of investigators and a lot of politicians and a lot of journalists have done really profound investigations. Really profound investigations on this. But it looks like more capos are coming up and the solutions are not being arrested. And these people are not being arrested. The problem that I see right here, it is that there's no consideration of investigating the people that are being accused and their visas are being revoked. Why? Because you're waiting for the accusations in the evidence from the United States of America. So if you had anybody in charge of that seat that you have, Ms. President, it will be obvious that you will have a really personal and private conversation with the President of the United States of America and say, a ver, Donald Trump, let's see, man. You're giving me more than 50 plus dirty politicians. They're involved in corrupt and trafficking and la this, la that. Do you have sustainable evidence of this? Because I'm going to start my investigations and I will make it public. You're not going to embarrass me in front of my country, continuously revoking visas of my politicians in my political party. So I will do my investigation and I will put these politicians on check. And they're going to be ice cold right now. But I need you to provide me something that is evidence that I can understand subsequently why you are directly accusing them of these kind of crimes. Why these conversations are not being had. And if you have these conversations, why these people are not being arrested? A lot of people are going to say, well, there's no evidence. Okay, so if there's no evidence, why don't you come out and say, there's no evidence? There's no evidence of these people being linked. There's no evidence of these people being working with the organized crime and the cartel. There's no evidence, of these people that you see right here. All these faces are family members that they are tied with politicians, family members of the organized crime and the cartel, tied with politicians that they are the same ones that they are paying the political campaigns. They're the ones that they're buying out the political campaigns. They're the ones that they're paying a lot of money for these political campaigns. But we continue to justify every day the same thing, same situation. Multi-billion-dollar industry, the trafficking of gasoline. Incredible. Multi-billion. And, we're still using justifications continuously about who's this, who's that. Thank you so much for joining in. Buy me a coffee. It is out, it's pinned in the chat on Facebook and it is pinned in the chat on YouTube. I will greatly appreciate you guys having the consideration to support our work and support our work and support our page. For us to continue, we need your undeniable support. So we say thank you to all of you. And also there is the link to buy me a coffee. If you guys want to consider contributing to our work, it is right there. If anybody has a question, go ahead. Before I finish this live feed, if anybody has a question, go ahead. You guys have the floor. Go ahead if anybody has a question. I will wait a minute right here, and I'll wait for people to see if anybody has a question. So, man, I'm getting censored in YouTube like it's not even a joke. It's just unbelievable, man. The way that I'm getting censored in YouTube, it's just so stupid. It's really stupid. Hi, Oscar. Question: what influence do other Hi, Oscar. Question: what influence do other countries have with Mexico? For example, the Chinese influence supplying the cartels. Well, it has to do a lot with fentanyl. It's going to take me a long time to describe going deep into the rabbit hole. And there's always this, affirmative information, and all these in some of other people say that it's affirmative information. Some of them have said that it's a conspiracy information about Israel supplying guns to the cartels or buying out guns to the cartels. This is a speculation. It is not confirmed yet. It is not affirmed. Several people have exposed this and have their own evidence. There's other people that they say it's not enough evidence for you to provide and do this kind of accusation. I have never talked about it because I don't have a lot of evidence to do it. I do not have the vast evidence to say these things on social media and to do these enormous accusations. You're accusing a country of certain things, in several different situations, but I don't have the vast evidence to do it. But this is one of the things that I believe that regarding China, we already know how much of an influence it had on the cartels, and it started with a lot of people having presence from the Sinaloa fraction in China, expanding on fentanyl, and also expanding from fentanyl from there to over here. That's obvious, and we knew that that was actually happening. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. I will see you guys tomorrow on another broadcast. For every single one of you, stay safe. Like we always say, God's plan, it is our mission. Thank you for cooperating. Buy me a coffee. It is right there. Greatly appreciate your support. Thank